everybody, welcome back to Tech Odyssey. So I want to take a minute to talk about the Moto G Stylus. I put up my unboxing video yesterday, kind of first impressions. I've been using it for 24 hours now. I've got my SIM card in there, I'm using it on AT&T, and I'm going to talk about more about that in a minute. But overall, here's the thing. There are a lot of complaints that I have about this phone, but I don't want to make it sound like it's necessarily a bad phone. It's really hard to get a bad phone in the year 2022. Yes, it's got the Snapdragon 695, which is a perfectly serviceable processor. It's an 8-core processor. It's something that's going to allow you to do pretty much whatever you want to do other than high-end gaming and a lot of crazy multitasking. But 256 gigabytes baseline storage, that's something that's really nice. And a lot of times I complain about phones that only have 128 or 64. 256 is nice and solid, plus you get expandable SD card spots. So you can put an SD card in there and add on top of what you got already. 8 gigs of RAM. I'm not here sitting having to complain about having 4. A lot of times you see these lower end mid-tier phones, they might have 4, they might have 6. This one has 8. You'll probably never ever touch 8 just because it's a 1080p screen. It doesn't touch 4K anything. Yeah, it's not something that it necessarily needs, but it doesn't hurt. It's always a nice feel good when you have extra RAM. You get 3 cameras on the back. It's got a macro lens so you can do your up close and personal National Geographic shots. It's got a 50 megapixel primary camera, 16 on the front. The cameras are okay. They're nothing to write home about, but this phone gives you like everything. It's basically the kitchen sink in a phone with a little bit of everything. So you've got the stylus. It's not an S Pen because that's a Samsung thing. That's what they call their stylus. This one has a stylus. Now it's not an active stylus. It doesn't do Bluetooth. It doesn't do gestures. It's very cylindrical and metal and kind of dense, and it doesn't have any grip on it. But you can do this. So maybe that's worth the extra $100 right there. So it's not pressure sensitive. So when you write on the screen, here's what you get. The same thing every time. It doesn't matter whether you apply a bunch of force or a little bit of force. You're dependent on the actual app that you're drawing in to determine. You can go in and set it to where you can make it thinner or you can make it wider so you can write big like that. It's not like the Note. So this right here is going to be limited based off of what you're using to take notes. Thankfully, Motorola has quite a few things built in. They've got the note-taking feature. You can do your screenshots. You can write on those and take notes. You can do drawing. You can make GIFs with it. There's a lot of neat things that you can do, and Motorola is pretty thoughtful when it comes to their software experience. They've got some of the gestures. They've got the support for the stylus. So overall, when you take everything together, you got 3 cameras on the back, you got the 16 megapixel on the front, you got 5G, a Snapdragon 695, you got 8 gigs of RAM, 256 storage, you got a 5,000 milliamp battery. That stuff kind of comes together, and for somebody using it, especially if you can get this, if you can find it on Boost or Metro, somewhere else, I know they have some deals out there on these things. If you can get it for like $299, it's going to be a really good phone. And I harped a lot because you only get one operating system update. So this ships with Android 12. Which that's fine. I'm glad that it has that, but here's the problem. It's only going to get one operating system upgrade, and that's going to be Android 13. And Android 13 is just a short few months around the corner once it gets here this fall. So I'd imagine probably Motorola, maybe by the end of the year, maybe early next year. I'm not sure how quickly they get these things turned around. You're going to get one operating system. So basically, you'll get Android 13, and you'll never get another one. But you're going to get 3 years of security patches. So that 3 years of security patches means 3 years of updating that. Now, of course, they're not putting out monthly security patches, but if there's an emergency hotfix, hopefully they can get to that. And of course, at least annually, hopefully quarterly. I'm not sure exactly how often they are because I haven't heard good things about it or whether they stick to that timeline. But at least they're telling you you're going to get 3 years of security patches. So 3 years security patch, 1 year of operating system updates. It's a serviceable phone. Yes, it would be better if it had IP68. It would be better if it had wireless charging. It would be better if it had Gorilla Glass. It would be better if it wasn't mostly made out of plastic. It would be better. There are a lot of things that I could put on the wish list here. What irks me is the $499 price point, because if this phone didn't have a stylus, it's a $250 phone, maybe $299 tops. Because if you look at the new Nord N20 phone, the 5G that came in on T-Mobile, it's 90% the same phone, and it's less than $300. And the last Motorola G Stylus last year was $399. So there are concerns I have, and again, I'm using it on AT&T. I have, of course, 5G. I've got 5G in my area. It's not picking up on the phone, so I'm not sure if they even paid the money to get the support on the back end for AT&T to use 5G. I got to do some more research on that because I popped my SIM card in today, and I'm like, well, I've got a good LTE connection, but no 5G. And that's a similar story. If you look at the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III, I'm not getting 5G, only LTE. If you look at the OnePlus 10 Pro, only LTE, not 5G. So that's a problem with AT&T. T-Mobile, you're going to get 5G all day long. Same thing with Metro. Same thing with Mint Mobile. So there's some things here that make this a nice phone for people who want to pick it up. If you go get it and you want to pay $499 for it, you'll probably be happy. The software seems to be pretty polished. The overall Android 12 experience seems to be going okay. This right here is what it is. If you don't want a stylus, don't buy this phone. I'm going to be upfront and frank with you about this. If you don't want a stylus, don't buy the phone. But the phone doesn't suck. I'm just going to tell you that. There's not really a whole lot of phones that are terrible nowadays because the market is geared towards the consumer. Yes, if you got a flagship phone 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe a year or two, you might be looking to upgrade. If you got a mid-tier phone 3, 4, 5 years ago, you pretty much didn't get any updates and you were stuck with whatever kind of they threw together and tried to sell you on being a phone. And then you probably needed a new one within a year, 18 months maximum. They did not last very long. They weren't supported. Well, when you look at the phones nowadays, even this, Snapdragon 695, you've got a headphone jack, you've got 120 hertz refresh rate on this big 6.8-inch screen. There's a lot going for it that make for an enjoyable experience. Like, I can sit here and watch YouTube and it's fine. I can play some light games, it's fine. I can use Twitter, it's fine. Now, the haptic feedback's not the greatest in the world. Like, it's okay, but that's another thing. There are a lot of compromises on this phone when you look at what you get for $500. If you can get it for $299, if you can get a trade-in deal, if you can get a carrier deal, if you go with one of these places that carries it and you can get a good deal on it, yeah, you're going to be really happy with it. I think it's a good phone for a lot of people if you can get it at the right price point. If you're looking at spending $499 of your hard-earned money, I wouldn't personally do that. Now, if you want to, go right ahead. If you love Motorola that much, I'm sure that you'll probably like it, but there are other options, especially if you're using AT&T. Go get the LTE model because you're not going to see a whole lot of difference, and you're not going to get 120 hertz refresh rate, but it's still a good phone. And I don't think a lot of people are looking for 120 hertz refresh rate in a phone like this. It's a nicety. I'm glad they threw it in there. It makes it more enjoyable for me, but when you look at kind of the market and the demographic of people looking to buy this, you don't want to be spending near flagship level prices because you could get an iPhone SE 2022. You can get a Samsung Galaxy A53 for cheaper than this. You can get a Pixel 6a starting in the next couple of weeks cheaper than this. And you can get other things that are on sale like an S21 FE probably about the same price. So there's a lot of lucrative things out there. You could even look a year back and probably get some other phones cheaper or about the same price that are going to be supported longer and be better phones. So it's about what you want, what fits your pocketbook, what fits your needs, what you can get at your carrier, and what you're looking for in a phone. Because, yeah, there's not a whole lot of stylus phones out on the market right now. There's the S22 Ultra, which is $1199, and then there's this at $499. I would have felt a lot more comfortable if they left it at $399, but here we are at $499. But that's one thing that you get with companies. They like to price them high at the beginning. I can imagine that this will probably be on sale and have some deals pretty darn quick, because when I see Motorola phones 3 months, 6 months, a year later, they're not what you paid for MSRP. So maybe it's one of those things you hold off 3 months and then you get it for $350 or $399. So it's all what you're looking for, what fits your budget, what you want in a phone, and what kind of skill set you want. And that's what you look for in phones. It's like when you look for a car, which one meets your needs the best and get it at the best price. This just isn't the best price at $499. But overall, it's not a bad phone. I don't want to give people the impression it's a terrible phone, because it's definitely not. But I look at a lot of things from a value perspective in my videos, because I go, well, I would never pay $500 for this. So I can't, you might want to pay $500 for it. But when I look at it and go, find the best deal, look at the carrier options, see if you can get something there, and then do what's best for you. But at $499, it gives me heartache looking at it, because there are phones out there that are legitimately going to give you the same experience, if not better, for several $100s less. And that's where I'm coming from, because the stylus itself, a lot of people didn't even use it. I've got the S22 Ultra. I hardly ever use my stylus. A lot of people don't. It's cool. It's a neat thing to have. But is that worth the extra $250? That's the question you need to ask yourself. So that's all I got in this video. Just wanted to come back and circle back around on this one, because I feel like some people might have taken the last video unduly harsh on my perspective on the phone, which I don't want to give that impression, because I said in the video, I haven't really used it yet. So using it and taking a look at it it runs fine. Like if you pick one up and use it, you're probably going to have an enjoyable experience if this is kind of the price market and the product that you're looking for. This is not a flagship phone. This competes nothing anywhere near close to the S22 Ultra, but you're also saving a minimum $600. And that's why these exist. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please go to the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoy the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.